Good morning, guys. Happy Monday. Mr. Joshua with another video. So, Batman vs. Terminator Part 9. I've been having a kind of a rough time remembering everything I've been saying in my past videos. I think over the past two videos that I've done, I just started, making the story up as I go along because I haven't gotten that far yet. So, with these videos, they are definitely up for, a rewrite or anything like that. So, really isn't that bad this morning, offhand. It's 47 degrees. Looks like it just got done raining, so that's nice. I like that. I'm pretty happy about the rain because that means that the yards that I have in my actual house that my wife isn't maintaining have been watered, so that's great. I'm happy about that. Heck yeah, playa. Hell yeah. So, with that being said, let's get back to Batman vs. Terminator. Part 9. I think I left off on part 8 where John Connor is showing Batman around, and Batman comes up with the idea of putting a plasma shield around his Batmobile so he can get into Skynet Central without being detected. And then I also put in that Skynet has a plasma shield that it uses to keep all the humans out. So Batman basically reconstructs the exact same shield that Skynet uses, and he's able to, if he goes fast enough, he's able to break through Skynet's shield because they're both the same, a plasma shield. And theoretically, when they both meet, it should theoretically allow the Batmobile/Batwing thing to go through unfazed, just as long as it's going fast enough. And I'm gonna turn on the heater real quick. My 60 degrees. There we go. Turn on the heater because my windshields are all fogged up. So anyways, back to our story. So, I'm going to half-ass it this morning. Batman and John Connor are talking. They're coming up with a plan. And I thought about this. This is going to sound funny, but I actually thought about this when I was taking a shit like 10-15 minutes ago. So hear me out. This is the John Connor that knows everything. This is the John Connor that knows that Kyle Reese is his father that he sends back in the past. He knows all these things. But John Connor didn't know that Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, was the person who essentially, funded Skynet and caused all this destruction. And so, like I said in the last video, John Connor, forgives Batman and tells him it wasn't his fault, he didn't know. And that what's important is that we're together now, and that we can join our forces and stop Skynet, put an end to everything. So during the meeting of Batman and John Connor and John Connor's generals, I think they would be people who work right underneath them, John Connor tells Batman about the time machine that Skynet has. And here's the fucked up part. John Connor tells Batman the location of where this time machine is. And so Batman, without saying anything, comes up with his own alternate plan, which is, wait a minute. So there's an actual time machine. What if I use a time machine and go back in time and essentially stop all this shit from happening? And this is something that Batman just keeps to himself as an alternate plan. So fast forward to what I said in one of my other videos. Batman was able to get into the pyramid, the Skynet pyramid, infiltrate, flew the Batmobile Batwing into the HK hangar because it was the only opening and the only way to get into the pyramid. Batman comes across human scientists who were actually inside the facility working for Skynet in exchange for, food, comfort, and safety. And let's say that Batman comes across the time machine. He stops and sits there and thinks about it. And he slowly begins to approach it. And the thought engulfs his body. He knows that if he goes back in the past, there's a pretty good chance that he can, stop everything from happening. And right before he manages to get to the time machine, he's stopped by a group of T-800s that are, marching down the hallway. And so he breaks his trance, hides, and lets the Terminators pass without them seeing him. And then Batman, kind of shakes his head a little bit and tells himself, no, this is my future, this is my present. It's time to make the change here tonight. So Batman, he breaks into the headquarters. He breaks into the room where everything's controlled, and he's sitting there, shutting down the plasma shield that surrounds the Skynet headquarters. And then a silent alarm goes off. So T-800 casually walks over to the room, comes in without Batman hearing the Terminator come in. And then all of a sudden, a Terminator starts, randomly shooting at Batman. Of course, the T-800 misses. The plasma ammunition, or whatever it's called, that Terminators use in their rifles, destroys any chances of any sort of Terminator being able to restart the process of putting the shields back up. Batman and Terminator get into a fight. By this time, Batman has a pretty good armored up, modified suit. So Batman just beats the holy shit out of this T-800 with his bare fist. Like his fists have these cool, little hydraulic knuckle busters in there, where whenever he punches a Terminator in the face, the knuckles will actually extend real fast and real hard and just completely obliterate the Terminator. So he destroys the Terminator. The alarms go off, and as last-ditch effort, Batman throws a bomb inside of the headquarters room, the room that controls everything, and runs off, blows up the room. And then what ends up happening is that, again, I can take this out of the storyline if I want or not, but I remember the Terminator The Ride, the Skynet actually had this thing called the T-1000, which is a weird spider T-1000 looking Terminator thing. So maybe when the alarms go off, it activates the T-1000. Batman gets out of the room before it explodes. Batman, jumps to safety, falls into the ground, looks up and sees this big giant silver gooey thing slowly forming into this, robot spider beast thing. And it forms into this weird silver monster thing. And Batman is freaked out because he doesn't know what the fuck this is. He knows it's a Terminator, but he's never seen a T-1000 before. And so, I'm going to make this quick. The shields are down. John Connor sees the shields are down, and that's their move to go. John Connor sends sends the HKs and HK tanks to the front lines. They come in, they start this huge ass fight. The humans come in and along with their captured Terminators, and they start this big giant final fight. And then on the inside of the pyramid, here's Batman alone fighting this fucking T-1000. And Batman's trying everything that he can do to, you know, get out of that big giant hangar where the T-1000 is. And there's one scene I want to put in there where Batman sees a vent, an air vent that's open. He tries to get in there, but right before he swings in there, the T-1000 throws like a T-1000 like, you know, spike thing right at the the entrance of the vent, and stabs right through the wall and prevents Batman from being able to escape. And Batman realizes that the only way he's going to be able to make it out alive is if he somehow figures out a way to destroy the T-1000. And so Batman has a couple of EMP mini bombs left, and he knows that if he does this, it's going to cut off all sorts of communication from his communication microphones and everything like that, you know, directly links him to John Connor. So he has like 3 or 4 left. He throws them right at the T-1000, and the bombs sink into the T-1000's body, and they all blow up simultaneously. The T-1000 kind of shakes and does a weird, like, monstrous scream, and it starts melting and just melts and gets destroyed and just turns into this, you know, big giant puddle of silver metal. And that's how the T-1000 dies. And then by this time, here comes, you know, more Terminators marching in, because, you know, their main priorities are to protect Skynet. And since the T-1000 was destroyed, that spike, you know, melted off, which, you know, allows Batman to get into the air vent and escape. And that's where I'm going to leave it off. If you guys like my videos, please like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.